Yeah, we should be good to go, people.
Can you dig it?
Welcome to the Brews at 10. On my left eye, I'm your host, Lefty. A very warm welcome to everybody on the stream. Thanks for your patience there. How are you brewing tonight, people? Let's see who's in the chat. Hetty, great to see you. Thanks a lot for the super thanks on the recent vid. Aaron Gray's with us as well. I'm Floor Snake at Solidarity-Tea, everybody. Graham Turner's with us as well. Doc Davies is in the house. Give that thumbs up button a whack as you get into the stream, people. Much appreciated. I've managed to find a bit more energy from the weekend. It was an exhausting weekend. Thanks a lot to everybody who's checked out the video that was the main feature of Sunday's stream. Of course, the DOJ protest. Exclusive footage. And actually participated as well. So. Thanks for your comments as well. That really does help. Yeah, I see you liking a little clip at the beginning of Banksy, the latest Banksy. They tried to cover it up, but the public were having none of it. Some say, some may have said, it's knitting circle time, people. Very early on in the stream, but perhaps he was at the DOJ protest. Perhaps your host knows who they are, and maybe they saw them, or maybe not. But we know what went down. Nearly 900 people got arrested, and then, alas, what appears on the side of the royal courts of justice. The latest Banksy. Unfortunately, it will be removed, probably post-haste, by the establishment, and it's on a listed building, of course. Won't be the first time that Banksy's done a listed building, though. So yeah, socialist artist Banksy at work. Yet again, other famous works include The Kissing Policeman, the girl with the heart-shaped balloon that's just flying away in the wind, just out of reach, several others. You never know when and where they might pop up. But that was the latest one, obviously referring to the prescription against a non-violent direct action group. So a little more self-promotion coming up, but also a bit of viewer promotion. Shout out to all the current members on the channel. Thank you very much to everybody who's gifted memberships, renewed their own recently. Other ways you can help out the channel: if you're watching live, super chats are open. If you're watching back later on, then super thanks are also available. But whether you're watching now or later, there is a link in the description of the stream and the channel for our Buy Me a Coffee page if you don't have the means to help support us through YouTube. There's also the new hype button, which you might see if you open some of our video content. I'm not sure if that's available on streams, but please open a recent video you've seen that you may have liked, or perhaps a random one that you've not seen before. Hit the hype button. That'll help to get it into what used to be the trending section, but it's now been updated, all shiny, all brand new, turbocharged trending section. Thank you very much, all 102 members. I can reveal the membership goal now. 102 towards 250. I should have said there as well, if you want to join that list of marvellous members, it's just 99 pence. Lots of perks for you to enjoy, so please do check those out as well. And we'll bring the viewers into proceedings now. The people will be heard, and they will be seen here on the Brews at 10. Aaron Gray, interesting that you bring up the House of Lords. I'm going to be talking about one Lord specifically a bit into the stream, but he's more or less case in point why the second house either needs to go or needs incredibly drastic reform. So I will be talking about a lord. Which lord will it be? But from the second house to the first house, from that place to the other place, to different places. Speaking of the House of Commons, obviously Labour have a deputy leadership race underway at the moment. I'm wondering who you think will win. That's the subject of this evening's poll, if you want to get a bit interactive with the channel. You should see it in the chat there. You should have seen it highlighted as you joined. 4 selections to choose from. David Lammy, who's the current temporary deputy leader. Will it be a woman from the north? There are that many of the people who put themselves forward that are women from the north. There's a good chance it could be one of them. Could also be a woman from the south, who knows? Do you think it will be anyone but West Streeting? Or do you not care because they're all crap? Which is currently where in the lead. No votes yet for Lammy. Oh, poor David Lammy. And if you're thinking the poll doesn't make any sense whatsoever, that's absolutely correct, and it is designed thusly. Hedy, thank you very much again for a generous super chat there. And a very, very bold one, if I dare say so. In fact, I can't... I see what you're doing there. I see what you're doing. I have to read it out because it's a super chat. But, well, could be risky. Could be risky, shall we say. You might have noticed, if you've seen the footage that I took at the DOJ protest, I had to be very careful in the narration. I did say that phrase, however, I was quoting the placards, so I guess that counts. So I guess in that same, using those same tactics, thank you very much for the generous super chats. Oh, by the way, you know, that reminds me, I happened to have been in London on Saturday and I saw some placards that said, quote, "I oppose genocide," so on and so forth, end quotes. Thanks again, Heddy. Let's big up Heddy in the chat, please, people. Give it the thumbs up when it decides it. There we go. I do have some follow-up information about the weekend's protests as well. In fact, a viewer and a member on the channel, Moshi on Toast, who was interviewed last time at DOJ were at Parliament Square last month, has recently turned into somewhat of a roving reporter here on My Left Eye and found themselves at the Edinburgh event, the DOJ event, happening simultaneously on Saturday. So I have a little bit of footage from that, including a really good speech. Thanks again to Moshi on Toast if you are watching. If you find yourselves on the streets protesting, demonstrating, if you do like to take footage and you would like to get it out on a platform, please, as always, let me know. You can get in touch with the channel. We'd be happy to see things from your direct perspective there. I hope these ocular references are doing something for you. Yes, please, a few more props for Heddy in the chat, please, people. Let's show some solidarity with your fellow Brewdists. It's not a religion or a cult, asterisks. It's a community. It's what it is. But yes, Heddy, you are more extreme, quite an extreme super chat there. Any advance on that? Come on, let's see who's got the minerals, people. That wasn't incitement. Let the court show that wasn't incitement of any description, just a joke. Oh, seriously though, back to what's coming up on the stream. Obviously the deputy leadership race, as I mentioned, but today there's still news coming in of Israel's attack on Doha, the capital of Qatar, and we're also going to be hearing from the latest in Gaza as well. There's going to be an update from the flotilla also, where things have actually gone a bit tense think I'm at liberty to say, without giving too much away. I do have a comedy clip coming up to kick things off, of course, as always. And actually, first off, I'm going to be getting into a clip from GB News from last night where they're talking about Generation Z and, in particular, trends in social habits and things like that one of my friends was involved in a debate with. Plus a few other bits and pieces, so plenty to come up on the stream. Hit the buttons, people. Let's brew this thing. Currently the votes add up to 101%. Is that right? Let's see, 86, 91, 101. You're quite correct. Your maths equals good. That's an interesting one. That's what apparently the company that run the polls is in Zambia. That's why that can happen. Don't know why that is. I'll try and keep an eye on that. It's still at 101% total. There have been 87 million votes so far, but we only have 93 viewers at the moment, so again, bit of an anomaly. I've not even pointed this out yet on the stream, people. Something else that's really weird tonight, where Phil's normally sat, is actually it's former President Mugabe. I don't know if those two things are related. There's some sort of positive correlation, but of course correlation doesn't necessarily mean causation. Reminded of that old bigot on the stream recently who told some people in Leicester that there were 100 million migrants in this country. 100 million. Right, let's get into things. I've certainly waffled long enough. So the opening comedy clip is going to be Noreen Skinner, who's going over Angela Rayner's recent resignation, and it also features my particularly personal favourite impersonation of hers, the the Rachel Reeves.
I'm fine. Honestly, I'm fine. I'm not fine, Rach. There. How could Keir do this to me? You know, let me go like that. You know, it's because I'm working class, isn't it? It's because of my accent. Do you want some Valium? Yeah, go on then. I just don't know what to do, Rach.
I don't understand tax myself. I regularly make much bigger boo-boos.
We all know that. To be honest, I don't know why you still got this job, Rach.
Uh,
I mean, what do I do now? What job do I do?
I could write you a CV.
Good God, no. Oh, I'm proper f***ed, aren't I? I need another drink.
But you've already had 1, 9, 3, 7, 19, 3 drinks.
Just one more, Rach.
Okay, I'll sort it.
Do you know what? Why are you doing that? I'm going to book a flight to Ibiza. That's right. UK can't handle me. You don't know what you're missing, babe. I said one. That's double the amount.
I must have miscounted. I always borrow more than I should have done. This is all the Tories' fault.
Do you know what? You've actually made me feel much better. I'm much better out of this shit show. Got it though. You've got to still keep doing this.
What's that?
Your job.
What's that?
Oh, Christ. Get me another 2 goodbye drinks, will ya?
2, 1, 9, 14, 49 billion black hole, 50 million.
Oh, screw this. Not again. Right, that's it. I'm off to Ibiza. Bye-bye, Britain, you mother...
22 billion, 49 billion, 11, 10.
Not very good with numbers. Not at all. Very funny there from Noreen Skinner. Go and subscribe. That comes highly recommended. Another fellow YouTuber there. Ruth Guthrie, Andy Carter, great to see you. Thanks for joining us in the chat. I know you've smashed that thumbs up button, people, and shared your opinions on Labour's deputy leadership race in the poll, where David Lammy is yet to garner a single vote. Second from bottom is Anyone But West Streeting. In second place, a woman from the north, but by far and away the current frontrunner early on in the stream as it is Nobody Cares, they're all crap. Rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. After it sank as well, just to add another tranche of uselessness to those bunch of careerist neolibs. I do have one very quick thing to say before I go into the opening foray of clips and articles and whatnot. Just concerning the chat, for everybody who's joined us this evening. Anybody who was with us on Sunday might have noticed that late on in the chats I did have to boot somebody out, have to block somebody from the chat. I'm just going to address that because that's something that's really rare. In fact, I'm not even sure if it's ever happened before on the channel. Perhaps with the odd troll or two, but certainly not with a regular viewer, who I believe has also contributed towards the channel in the past. So that's kind of how serious this is. But one user in particular, one viewer, I think this was during our conversation about the demonstration over the weekend and then further on into Gaza. Well, first of all, sending a series of messages in caps, you know, i.e. shouting, screaming in the chat, I think is pretty much intolerable. Don't mind the odd word, perhaps for comedy context. A single word or whatever just to express disbelief. But to do message after message in the chat, but then in particular to go way off point, start talking directly to me as though I'm Keir Starmer, and then, as I said, we're going on from talking about Gaza to very quickly talking about a cashless society, I believe. But the final straw was addressing me directly and, well, literally calling me a fucking Nazi. So that's obviously something that I'm not. In case you've not been able to tell recently, you know. No, but that was just too far. So unfortunately, yeah, had to boot that user. So yeah, please just remember what I said about the shouting in the chat and respecting other users in the chat and so on and so forth. Okay, so just wanted to address that, people. Hope you're all good. It was imposing a lot on the chat as well. So the first clip, as I said, well, I was speaking to this guest that you're going to see on GB News last night about something entirely different as it happens, but they did mention that they were going to be on. So I'm going to share this with you. This is a friend of mine, Sean Irish, who you might recognise from other TV debates, but also anyone who's seen the My JSO Story exclusive videos. You might recognise him from our jaunts around London with Just Stop Oil. But he was talking about Generation Z, and as I mentioned earlier, they're essentially bucking a lot of traditional social trends as far as the social lives are concerned, how much they're going out, things like this. The host is, of course, a complete dick piece, with it being GB News, but I think Sean handled him particularly well, as you're about to see. I might see if Sean can perhaps come on and talk more about this subject. So yeah. Oh, in fact, Moshi on Toast is with us in the chat. You made it. I do have a couple of clips that Moshi on Toast has provided from the Edinburgh demo at the weekend, as I said. Great to see you. All right. What was that? Yeah, I'll just get going with the clip and then we'll do analysis later.
Welcome back to you, Patrick Christie's tonight with me, Alex Armstrong. Well, coming up, Shadow Transport Secretary Richard Holden will be joining us, and that's very, very, very soon. But first, Gen Z are flocking to the National Trust sites to escape social media and relieve climate anxiety. Oh, poor them. Well, recent research shows that adults aged 18 to 44 were more likely to visit heritage, landscape and culture sites than older generations. Maybe because they've already been, I don't know. Anyway, the conservation charity has seen a surge in popularity among young people, with their memberships rising 35% in the last year. Well, I'm now joined by climate activist Sean Irish. Sean, thank you so much for joining me. Now, listen, I have this conversation with people very regularly. Gen Z or Gen Z people, whatever you want to call them, they're a very, very anxious generation of people. And I believe when they're going through school, when they watch things like the BBC, they're constantly led to believe that the whole world is about to implode on them.
So Generation Z, basically that's people who were in the mid-20s to early 30s, roughly. People who were born in the 1990s. Just to clear that up, in case there's any confusion, this is the generation that sort of aren't doing the same kind of things as hobbies and for leisure that the parents and grandparents were doing.
And this is sort of things that I was told back in high school. We go back 20 years ago, I was told by 2020 London would be underwater and the skies would be red, but it all turns out to be rubbish and it causes kids massive amount of anxiety. It's just woke crocodile tears.
That's an interesting viewpoint, Alex. They're not teaching me that in my schools.
Yeah, he was falling over himself just to get to woke crocodile tears there. Stumbling his way towards highlighting woke crocodile tears.
But you are right, we're seeing a massive return of what we would call old hobbies or boomer hobbies, thanks to the climate crisis, and the cost of living crisis. Gen Z, as you're probably aware, can't afford the luxuries of previous generations. The idea of going out to the pub is now a very rare treat. So you are seeing a mass return to old hobbies. You said yourself that we're too fat and too woke to join the military. So we took that on board and we've gone out, we've gone hiking, we've got our fitness up, and now we're ready to take on reform and any other Tories, even if they're in red ties.
I'm very impressed you remember that quote. That takes me back, that quote. It was quite a while ago.
Well, Sean's right. Socialising in pubs is not for Gen Z. Choosing to socialise in other ways as well, but the cost comes into it, as Sean highlighted. Now, here in Manchester, if you want to go out of an evening in central Manchester, you're looking at around £6.50, £7 for a pint of lager, pint of beer. So if you, I don't know, maybe you're into your mixers, double vodka, double whatever, plus mixer, you're going on £10 a drink at least. So it gets pretty ridiculous, yeah. It does get pretty ridiculous, so. But again, the social aspect, I think the death of the so-called lad culture recently has also been a factor in that. That's something that was quite prevalent during the 1990s and the early millennium. That's something that people are moving away from now. Sort of shedding stereotypes, trying new things. That's what GB News what I call woke crocodile tears, by the way.
That one. But there's a 14% youth unemployment rate. Is this perhaps playing into it, that young people just aren't working? I also saw a statistic the other day that it's like something like 60, 70% of young girls have taken a day off school because of anxiety. This sort of stuff they're taught at schools, this is what's worrying me, is that maybe woke parents and teachers are just teaching them that the world is going to end. What's the point going to work? Why don't you just go enjoy a nice day out in the National Trust instead?
Well, it is literally that bad. It's not a joke. The metaphor, the allegory of a meteor heading towards the Earth for representing climate change should be taken absolutely seriously. And imagine if you were told that a meteor is heading towards the planet. Not only that, but only fairly recently you've just left school, or perhaps you're still in further education, or whatever you've chosen to do. And thinking about your prospects isn't exactly going to drum up positive imagery. It's not looking too optimistic about the future, where the future's concerned, I should say. So you can't sit there like this douche is trying to do and take the piss out of people's mental health just because they're aware of how low their prospects of a livable future are. Even, you know, through climate change, through economic downfall, whatever it might be. And he thinks that this is something that should be laughed at, that should be mocked. This is the living, well, GB News itself, I guess, is the living embodiment of the dickhead who jumps in your social media comments with 3 or 4 laughter emojis, perhaps a few insulting words, and then only returns with even more laughter emojis. Incapable of proper arguments, reasoning, or debate. It's just trolling. It's just trolling. And I think it's pretty despicable. Because the saddest part about it is they actually think it makes them look good. They think that sort of attitude will appeal to people. But this guy can cram it.
Well, obviously the unemployment rate is due to a lack of jobs and a struggling market. You know, we are seeing since the cost of living crisis, you know, there's not the same amount of work as there was in the past, and the work that is out there isn't meeting the living standards that young people need. You know, we grew up and we were told, you know, go get an education, go out and work and build a life for yourselves. Well, unfortunately, generations preceding us ate up all the wealth and destroyed the economy. So now
Sean, I would take.
When there are statistics out there, such as in the capital, London, if you make minimum wage, there are very, 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 very little to zero available places to live. Affordable places to live. And that's just to keep a roof over your head. That's not with crippling utility bills, which are always on the rise. Costs in general. Inflation. So yeah, they're aware that more than ever, I think. I think a lot of people are aware that you're not getting a fair day's pay for a fair day's work anymore. The game is up as far as the capitalist con is concerned.
Issue with that, I think there's a lot of things going into why the economy's not looking so great, including the last budget, which seems to have obliterated a lot of those hospitality jobs you were talking about, particularly with pubs and stuff. But, you know, let me go back to some statistics here. 46% of Gen Z are diagnosed with mental health issues in the last few years. I mean, this is nuts. 46%, half of our young...
Yeah, it's an interesting thing when you look at stats like that. You know, like before the 1900s, no one was diagnosed with homosexuality. No one was gay because they hadn't got a term for it yet. We are seeing people being given terms to things that already exist. You know, mental health has always been a part of the thing. The difference is older generations just had their crazy uncle that no one talked to and it's eventually disappeared because he committed suicide.
Well, I need to interrupt there for obvious reasons. Just that word in particular. But he's making a really good point here, Sean. I'm biased as a friend of mine. If you're watching, Sean, hello. But no, seriously, it's the same with conditions such as autism. People were just labelled strange, labelled weird, labelled crazy. A lot of people were unnecessarily institutionalised having such conditions, as well as the social stigma that came along with it as well. But now, as Sean has highlighted, there's a lot more awareness, there's a lot more identifying of mental health conditions, a broad range of mental health conditions. So it's not that a greater proportion are perhaps depressed or suffering in their mental health. Perhaps there are, but not as much as the host is implying, and even if there is slightly more, again, that's perfectly understandable. Because Gen Z, you know, COVID, the climate, the state of the economy, and again, the prospects for the future, you bundle all that together, there are very few people who aren't privileged enough to even make a basic living. So what does that say about our country?
Side.
Well, sure, but 46% is 46% is a very, very large number, Sean. I mean, come on, even you must say that you're telling me half of the population in the future are going to have mental health crisis. What are we going to do about that? That's nuts.
So there's a difference between a diagnosis and a crisis. Getting a diagnosis is the first step in avoiding a crisis and dealing with the crisis. Unlike previous generations, we are not ignoring our mental health. We are tackling it head on because we know that your generation and the generation previous will mock and laugh and will not help us. So we're taking it into our own hands and we're looking after ourselves because quite frankly, we're done with the ridicule that we've received. It is time for young people to look after ourselves. Your generation failed. You didn't fix the economy. You didn't do anything on the climate crisis. You've dragged us into more wars and you just continue to elect people who don't represent us.
Yeah, and what I noticed about this interview, the guy, the host, he's certainly younger than the boomer generation. Being a GB News host, though, he does have to speak the boomer language, I guess, because that's the demographic that they're trying to appeal to. That is who they consider their audience. And if we just go back to where he's in the shot, just quickly, I'll remember where we're up to on the left. This guy here, you'd put him around 30? I'd say he looks about 30. Maybe even a bit younger than that. And he's making the boomer argument, even though he could be not far off the fringes of Generation Z himself. I don't know. Maybe he's a bit older. He might have dyed his hair and he just maybe looks a bit younger because he has sort of squinty, cocky eyes and can't grow a proper beard. I'm referring to the host, of course, not Sean. Sean Irish on the right of your screens there. I just wanted to point that out. You know, he's talking the boomer language, but he certainly is no boomer. If we just go back to where we're up to there.
Quite frankly, we're done with the ridicule that we've received. It is time for young people to look after ourselves. Your generation failed. You didn't fix the economy. You didn't do anything on the climate crisis.
He's going to start... What is it? I'll just pick something random that some boomer would fucking say in an online debate. Oh, about, the climate crisis. What about the summer of, was it 76? What about the summer of 76? That's going to be what he's going to come out with next. I just think it's all part of a natural cycle.
You've dragged us into more wars and you just continue to elect people who don't represent us. So yes, young people are getting out, they're joining National Trust, they're also joining protest movements, they're joining local community groups, they're sorting out food banks, they're helping their neighbours, they're protecting hospitals, they're protecting, you know, hotels, housing asylum seekers, because quite frankly, we know that you have no interest in helping us. GB News does not represent the people. GB News represents a very fringe minority of rich people pretending to care about the poor.
Yeah, and they're funded by fossil fuel companies, which is one reason that they're always so against environmental protests. They're against the environmental movement in general, especially renewable energy. They'll let shill after shill appear on their show and spout just the worst nonsense that you've ever heard, the most non-science possible. As well as economically speaking as well, this we need to carry on with fossil fuels because it will be cheaper than renewables. I really can't believe some will still go that low. They will scrape the barrel enough to still try and claim that one.
Well, that's very interesting. Most of the audience members I meet aren't the wealthy elite of this country. Interestingly, Sean. Sean, I'll ask you this then: what sort of climate emergency should young people be worried about? What are sort of things will you talk to young people about, Sean?
So we've already seen it. We've got over 1.5 degrees of warming consistently over the last year. It's expected to continue to happen every year on out. We are seeing more people go into the hospitals due to high heat. We're seeing more people die in the winter due to extreme cold.
Sorry, I'm not bluffing about people dying of extreme cold. Just one of the comments in the chat there, Flo Snake. He's never forgiven young people since a classmate wrote wanker on the side of his briefcase in pink glitter pen when he was 9. Certainly looks the sort. Yeah, but now I'm on GB News, so who's fucking laughing now, Gary?
These are things that we need to tackle. We were promised change when Labour was voted in. We expected more than a change of tie. They didn't deliver that, and so young people will deliver for themselves.
Right. Well, I mean, what is it that young people can do? Because at the end of the day, the government is pushing an extreme net zero agenda.
But what about the way you led into that previous question as well? So, I mean, what are you going to say to young people about being worried about the climate crisis? Why should they be worried? I've never heard of this climate crisis. This is some completely new concept to me. I don't have any information available to me. I am, of course, a professed journalist myself. But how is climate crisis? What's that all about? It's just as though it's a very fringe, niche subject that you can easily ignore or brush off, which is perhaps what a large portion of, again, the boomer demographic viewers of GB News would be inclined to believe.
Killing our farms and destroying our countryside, things that I would have thought climate activists would want to protect, frankly, but it doesn't seem that you really care about that. It's only if you've got solar panels everywhere that are destroying the environment, you seem...
Well, where do you begin with that one? They go there for respite and relaxation. They go to the country for respite and relaxation. They don't go there to dig out our natural resources, which is bad enough, and then burn them, of course, which is exponentially worse. Solar panels damaging the environment. Where are you getting that one from? Again, comparable to fossil fuels. Solar energy is certainly more preferable. In terms of cost, where CO2 output's concerned, efficiency, cost of the for the end user, for the consumer, it goes on and on. How on earth are fossil fuels preferable to solar panels where damaging the environment's concerned? And more to the point, why are wankers like this allowed a platform to say that without reprehension, without reprimand, I should say?
You love that, don't you? And the wind turbines that are also impossible to decompose in our environment. Also, you love those too. I mean, I don't really. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me, Sean.
One of those. Let's take windmills for a second. Windmills have been a fantastic way of stopping overfishing, dredging that's been happening in our oceans by massive trawlers. You may remember a couple of years ago, Greenpeace dropped massive boulders off the beach in Brighton to stop these protected oceans. windmills do quite the same.
Of course he doesn't know about that, because he's thick as cow shit. This is a good example that Sean's using, but I'm 100% certain that that story would have passed him by, even if he would have read the first couple of sentences in a newspaper, for example, or on a website in an article. He would have just scrolled past it, flipped to the next page, tutted and said, oh, that's just walk crocodile tears, isn't it?
We've seen the coral reefs.
Yeah, so just shove those windmills right into the bed of the ocean. That'll stop climate change. Yeah, I mean,
what, as opposed to burrowing into the bed of the sea to extract oil? And we've seen what happens when that goes tits up on several occasions, haven't we? Leaks, fires, and then of course, oh yeah, so digging into the base of the ocean to set up offshore wind farms. Yeah, that's going to solve the problem, isn't it? It's like, well, yes, it is. Oh yeah, oh, we've got ourselves a digging hypocrite. And the whataboutery begins. This guy's something else. What is his name again? I think I said it at the beginning. Or it's at the beginning of the show. I'm not going to give him the credit of mentioning his name, even though I can't remember it.
the problem with windmills, Sean, as you know, wind turbines, is that most of it costs us just as much money to...
The guy in his ears, yeah, stay at that, keep on the windmills, you're doing great, because windmills are a buzzword for Trump fans and the mag lot in America, of course, now, aren't they? And that filters through here with Nigel Farage and Richard Tice and GB News, and now here we are. And now, yeah, let's just look at that one there. Ignore the pylons. Yeah, ignore that oil rig you can see in the middle distance that's on fire. Just ignore 99.9% of the scientific community of planet Earth. And just look at these menaces here. There's 3 of them. Look at them. Oh, saving the planet, are they? Whirling around, rotating in your eyesight. This is an insult to humanity. Really? I just want to get back a few seconds.
Those windmills right into the bed of the ocean. That'll stop climate change. Yeah, I mean, the problem with windmills, Sean, as you know, wind turbines, is that most of it costs us just as much money to turn them off and keep them switched off because we can't do anything about the energy they produce.
It will cost us just as much to keep turning them on and off because no one will use the energy that they produce. Is that right? Is that right? There is zero demand for energy. There's zero demand for energy in the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. I didn't know that. I didn't know that things like massive data centres for artificial intelligence, which is exponentially on the increase, is getting bigger and bigger. And it uses more energy because massive data centres require a large amount of cooling as well. Prone to overheating. That's just one example. It's just one example of many.
They're useless, and they just...
So basically he's implying nobody wants the power that they're producing, or is he referring to energy storage? Because, of course, that's one argument that the right and climate change deniers will try and use against solar power, hydropower, wind, and so on and so forth. But the storage solutions are out there. There's just the lack of political will to use them. Because heaven forbid, you can find out that people can have just as much energy as they're consuming at the moment, or more, for practically nothing. For a very low cost, which means, oh, what would that mean? What would that mean? Let's do a crazy thought experiment here, people. But let me know if I'm jumping the gun when I say it just might mean less profit for a very small amount of people on the planet.
Destroy the countryside, as you can see, all that pavement. What do you think about all that pavement around that beautiful landscape there?
The pavement. Oh no, you can't. God, what a hypocrite. Oh yeah, you want to save the planet, do you? What about that concrete that's around the bit of the windmill? This is like, how far reaching can you get? How far reaching can you get? What about all that? And it's not even, it's not the fucking Maginot Line. Just, what? You're talking about pathways so that, for example, engineers, etc., can get to the turbines themselves. They've not built the M25. It's not the Great Wall of China, which I know isn't made of concrete. But yeah, there should be some massive chimney stacks there with a load of shitting smoke coming out of them, powered by coal, shoved into a furnace by 8-year-old kids who have to work a 60-hour week. Yada, yada, yada. Bring back conscription. I'm not going to do any of the things I just mentioned, though. Because that's the way that they are. No, really. What would you prefer? This? Or just heaps of smog everywhere? How about water as far as the eye can see? For anybody who's living in places close to sea level. Because that's what's coming.
Destroy the countryside, as you can see, all that pavement. What do you think about all that pavement around that beautiful landscape there?
Well, we could try and
There are no pavements anywhere else in the countryside.
run our country off the hot air that comes out of GB News, but unfortunately that's not realistic. So yes, we do have to look at all these different measures. The science is on the side of green renewables.
Did you get that there from Sean? That's a good comeback.
Destroy the countryside, as you can see, all that pavement. What do you think about all that pavement around that beautiful landscape there?
Well, we could try and run our country off the hot air that comes out of GB News, but unfortunately that's not realistic. So yes, we do have to look at all these different measures. The science is on the side of green renewables. The thing that's not is profit. Because oil and gas industry is in the pocket of Labour, in the pocket of the Tories, and in the pocket of Reform.
Yeah, okay.
So young people, again, are going out.
Yeah, I think young people just want opportunities. I don't think they care about anything else. They think they just want to have work and have opportunities. But there you go, Sean Irish, climate activist there. They never want to plant trees.
You'll meet people going on 3 o'clock in the morning if you're out of a weekend in a club, curled up in the corner, clutching a water bottle, who make more sense than this fucking bastard. I mean, seriously. It's like the ramblings of a drugged horse.
I don't understand why they don't want to plant trees. I think I love trees. Anyway, thank you.
What were those last few sentences again? I don't know if you want to plant trees. I don't like trees. I like trees. I don't like trees. I do like trees. You like trees. You don't like trees.
Young people, again, are going out.
Yeah, I think young people just want opportunities. I don't think they care about anything else.
I think young people want opportunities. It just literally spent the last few minutes explaining to you why they don't have economic opportunities. Why you don't have, say, for example, your typical nuclear household, 2.3, but whatever it is, kids, wife and a husband. Let's even say in the traditional sense, where only the husband works and the wife stays at home, tends to the children, does again, what's been prevalent in the West over the last couple of centuries or so, the nuclear family. Now, even as recently as the 1970s, 1980s, let's say, within that structure, a family could still keep food on the table. Even more than that, they don't just survive, they could thrive. They could have a couple of holidays a year. They'd have a car, not just modest house either. 2-3 bedrooms, garage, a garden. And again, this is just off of, let's say, the man of the house, as air quotes, in the nuclear family. Well, but now, you dare question why kids might write off their own futures based on economic circumstances when, let's say, a back bedroom in someone's house might cost you £700 or more per month in rent. It's ridiculous. They just want opportunity. Well, give them an opportunity. It certainly won't be given to them by the neoliberal structure that this whole supports. Just give them an opportunity. Just give them an opportunity.
They just want to have work and have opportunities. But there you go, Sean Irish, climate activist there. They never want to plant trees. I don't understand why they don't want to plant trees. I think
Where did he go? Just literally, where did that come from? And he was about to move on to the next story. They never want to plant trees. Who? Generation Z never want to plant trees.
trees. Anyway, thank you very much, Sean. Right, coming up, 1,097 arrival.
You got him there with the trees. Do the... And again, in the earpiece, someone probably... Trees! The trees! Oh, I forgot about the trees. Patrick Christie's. That's this guy. So, what can you say? What can you say? Well done to Sean. Sean was very good. This guy was pure balls. That was awful. That was awful. But what do you expect from GBBs? They don't even have Andrew Neil anymore. That's saying something. Does it still do that, whatever the fuck it was called, have a pint with, was it either Farage and or Lee Anderson, and they have a mocked up sort of bar, but of course it's an old, you know, it's an old fashioned bar, whatever. Do they still do that? The counterfeit Christie. Yeah. If that name rings a bell. There's two of them. Yeah, so I'll see if Sean maybe wants to come on a stream or whatnot and talk more about that. Certainly from a sociological viewpoint, it's a very interesting trend. But it's a kind of a macro trend, so it's one of those, obviously you have to wait a while to observe those. That's the thing with them. That's the thing with macro trends. But as you get from generation to generation, observe comparisons. Certainly some interesting things happening in the 2020s. We'll take a quick look at the deputy leadership race now. Just quickly skim over some of the hopefuls who've put themselves forward so far, but as far as the poll here on the Brews at 10 is concerned, David Lammy is still without a vote on 0%. A Woman from the North and Anyone But Wes Streeting now both tied for second on 9%. But don't care, they're all crap still. We're in front with 82%. So Phillipson's apparently the favourite, the front runner in the race. It's only a few days old, but there you go. Emily Thornberry, of course, ran in the leadership race with the one that Keir Starmer won, I should say, not with Keir Starmer. So, yeah, I'm still adjusting to people's new positions. You'll have to bear with me if now and then I get mixed up. But current Education Secretary Bridget Phillipson, that is. Oh, where's the music now? Ah, that's why. Apologies about that. Let's see what's happening here, people. There are 6 on the shortlist so far. Those wanting to step into Angela Rayner's stylish... Oh, fuck's sake, BBC. Or was that a dig at the freebies? I don't know. Maybe. Those wanting to step into Angela Rayner's stylish shoes need to secure the backing of 80 MPs by 5 o'clock on Thursday. That's a tight timetable which has been criticised by some in Labour. By the end of Tuesday, Phillipson had gathered 44 supporters, followed by former Commons leader Lucy Powell, with 35 names. Of course, Lucy Powell was forced to resign. From Vote For Me, I was forced out of being leader of the Commons. I had to step down. Bel Ribeiro Addy, a member of the Socialist Campaign Group, was in 3rd place, but with just 8. That's some way off. Second. Also, Foreign Affairs Committee Chair Dame Emily Thornberry has got 7 backers. Backbencher Paula Barker 3, and Housing Minister Alistair McGovern only 2. Well, they've got till 5 o'clock on Thursday. Looks like, though, it will be between Bridget Phillipson and Lucy Powell. They're both women from the north, I believe. So just very quickly, announcing her decision to run, I've got a quote here. Phillipson described herself as a proud working class woman from the northeast who would fight the dangers reform poses to our country. Because, make no mistake, we're in a fight. It's certainly a fight that they're losing at the moment by the looks of things. But not only am I ready for it, I've proven we can do it. I've shown we can beat Farage in the northeast while staying true to the Labour Party's values of equality, fairness and social justice. Whilst that might be a load of crap to her credit, at least she got through a good few sentences without saying the word deliver, which is better than most people speaking on behalf of Labour or self-promotion in this case tend to do. But if she does intend to just carry on trying to outflank reform to the right, that would be a bit of a fool's errand. Lucy Powell, of course, is a Mancunian. She's from Manchester, same place as my left eye. She says, living with my family in my home city has rooted my politics in an understanding of people's everyday hopes and fears. As our deputy leader, I would ensure that these are at the heart of what we do and how we operate, bringing together all parts of the party and uniting our broad voter coalition. Again, didn't say the word deliver. So they're likely to be the two who it boils down to. Yeah, unfortunately, Andy, Diane Abbott wouldn't be able to run, having had the whip removed. They certainly wouldn't have any of that. If you're back, Abbott, I'll remove the whip. Who said that? Don't care, they're all crap, going even further into the lead now, and David Lamb is still, again, without a single vote in the poll. Please do vote in the poll as you join us on the stream. Make sure you hit the thumbs up button as well, people. Moving on to another bit of UK news now. Recent revelations about greetings cards and such have been brought to light. However, this in front of me informs me that I'm legally obliged to play the following clip. Okay.
Warning. This section of the stream contains details of the inner workings of Peter Mandelson's twisted brain. Anyone who isn't a serpentine weirdo may find the following scenes distressing. No, seriously, it's really bad.
Ah, I see. Right. That's about it. Yes, that is the next topic here on the Brews at 10. Because it concerns Peter we do have to issue that warning. So anybody of a nervous disposition, please do brace yourselves. And my, if you didn't have the best opinion of him previously, as was the case with me, this is a whole new, unfathomable level of creepiness, just makes one feel generally unpleasant. However, before we do get into those dealings with Peter we have something positive to talk about. Thank you very much, Ruth Guthrie, for the 5 gifted memberships. Hope everybody enjoys the perks. Let's big up Ruth Guthrie in the chat there. And that's something to feel good about before we step into the Freudian landscape that is the communications between Peter Mandelsson and Jeffrey Epstein, handle it, pederast. It's also mentioned in this article where Donald Trump says that this is a forgery, a fake. Things he doesn't like are fake, of course. But he means to say forged, I guess, in this case. And then within the article, it's also revealed that you-know-who referred to Epstein as his best friend. Now, I'll just try and find the bit with him in it. But while I do that, just remind yourself on the few occasions that he's been pressed on this issue, because why he doesn't have the entire news media camped outside his door 24/7 on this is beyond me. If something like this had come out during previous pederast scandals, it would have happened. But for some reason, you-know-who seems to have some sort of immunity, and especially where critique from within Labour comes, because he said himself, and it's been repeated by current MPs, that he regretted being introduced to Jeffrey Epstein. Now, I don't know about you people, but if you found these kind of things out about somebody who you considered to be not just a friend, not just a close friend, but your best friend, you should be absolutely appalled. And if you have indeed moved away from them, unfriended them, you'd certainly have a lot worse things to say about them than that. You wouldn't just say, oh, you regret being introduced to them. He doesn't condemn his actions, he doesn't say how despicable they are, how revolting they are. He doesn't get hyperbolic in overstating, you know, just how revolted he is. Not by any means, not by any means. But it's worse, it's worse than that, people. I'm going to try and find some pictures in a moment. But there's a few notes, and there's some drawings as well, and there's a few phrases, if you want to put it that way. There's a couple of phrases within there that, yeah, creepy as fuck, to be honest. So, what's this thing? This about the Trump notes. It's a written description, and it matches the picture that was released on Monday. So there it is, that's the note. I won't read the transcript there. I'm just going to look for this one of Peter Mandelson. You'll just bear with me a moment. Bring up a few pictures. There's the... I'll just bring them up here. Images. Just highlight a few examples. Seems to have sent quite a few of these. Well, let's just see actually. What's that one from? Might be a few of them on here. Oh, it's the Tory graph shit. Ah, shit. The Prime Minister's support comes as West Streeting says Ambassador has more to say on association with paedophile. Well, he's certainly been quiet about it so far. I regret meeting him. This one here, happy birthday, Jeffrey, I love you, he says in that one. And then what's this one? This sort of... stood by the door with the... But where's the one I was looking for? Oh, here it is, this, fuck me. This picture. God. So it's not just notes, he's drawing him a picture. Is that supposed to be Mandelson on the left? Giving some balloons to kids, or is what's going on? Or is that supposed to be Epstein in 1983? And then comparing him to 2003, where he has a lavish lifestyle. Certainly, but one of those women has a tattoo of a love heart on her right arse cheek. The private jet, the sunshine. But is that him back in 83? But what is he doing with girls and balloons? What's that all about? What's that all about? It was significant enough for Peter Mandelson to remember and refer to it almost 20 years later. What the fuck is that? What is that? If you went round one of your friends' houses and you saw that on the wall, yeah, what's this? Are they supposed to be the same girls who are now, what, applying his suntan lotion or whatever the fuck's going on there? Is that what it implies? What a great country, he says. The fuck is that? There's just one more of these notes. Oh, sure I had it. Just try this. Well, I thought I had the clip. Or a screenshot of it, I should say. But I'll just try and, as best as I can, describe it without vomiting. It was a short note and apparently just said along the lines of, Mandel saying he can't wait to visit again, and he finished off the note with the phrase yum yum. It was about some sort of and he mentioned the word secrets, something secrets. Was it delicious secrets? I don't know. But it was something, definitely something secrets, and then yum yum. But like just Yeah, I agree. 9 signs I'd leave as well if I saw that picture on one of my friends. Okay, we've got to go now. We are leaving. No, thank you. That's all I want to say about that. Yeah, it's starting to creep me out, which is why I had the, that warning there.
Warning. This section of the stream contains details of the inner workings of Peter Mandelson's twisted brain. Anyone who isn't a serpentine weirdo may find the following scenes distressing. No, seriously, it's really bad.
Really, really bad. Do you mean like Michael Jackson bad? Well, but actually, yes. Maybe. I don't know. Allegedly. Gonna move on now. On to things concerning Palestine now. Can we see some flags and watermelons in the chat, please, people? I'll build up to the latest about the Israeli attack on Qatar. Just so that when I do come on, it'll be the very latest that's come in. But I do have quite a bit to say about that, especially the way that it's been reported by, you guessed who, by the Beeb. But first up, just following on from the weekend's protest, of course, there was another, there were three actually, Defend Our Juries protests in London, Edinburgh and Belfast. This was mentioned in Parliament by somebody who needs no introduction on this channel, I'm sure. And then we've got some footage from one of our viewers and a member, and somebody who's throwing up watermelons as I speak in the chat, Moshi on toast. So I've got some footage and a speech to share with you from that, as well as an interesting action that took place in Germany with the German contingent of PAL action as well. So first of all, I shall introduce someone who needs no introduction.
This is the largest number of people arrested ever since the Terrorism Act 2000 came into force. Those people that were protesting on Saturday were protesting at the horror of the genocide in Gaza and British complicity of it with arms sales and military cooperation and support. They are deeply concerned about civil liberties in our society and feel that the legislation rushed through this Parliament actually damages their right to civil, peaceful protest within our society. The Minister knows that the weight of history is against him. He knows that at some point the government is going to have to review this legislation, otherwise this situation will simply get worse and worse. Can he not just bring himself to say now they're going to look at it again, review the whole situation again, and not prescribe peaceful protest within our society, but accept we have a history behind us that brought us all here, which is built on protest and dissent.
Minister. Well, the Right Honourable Gentleman has been a member of this House for a very, very long time, so he will know that this legislation wasn't rushed through Parliament. It came through Parliament in the same way that other prescription actions have come through over many, many years. Let me seek perhaps 2 points of consensus. The first is around freedom of speech. I don't know what he was up to at the weekend. I have a sneaking suspicion he may have been on the streets of London, and good luck to him. It is his absolute democratic right to protest in the way that he is well known for doing so.
For fuck's sake, there was a stage set up outside fucking Downing Street, for God's sake. Did that pass you by?
This government hasn't done anything to stand in the way of him and his colleagues to do that. But let me just say one other thing to him, because although he and I may disagree on many things, I hope, as supporters of the trade union movement, we do agree on the importance of safety of people in the workplace. So he asked me to consider something. Perhaps I'd ask him to consider the importance of safeguarding people's safety and security in the workforce.
Remind me again, how many workers, how many staff on RAF Bryce Norton were harmed, were injured by the protest that PAL Action carried out? How many? Zero. It was some paint on a plane, you know. 100% certain that's what it was. And that nobody was injured. That's a terrible way to try and deflect that question when he knows what Jeremy's getting at. What I'm going to emphasise as well. Of course, groups like PAL Action knew that they were looking at being charged with criminal damage and trespassing It's very common with those kinds of actions. It certainly wasn't unprecedented, and it shouldn't be categorised the way that it has done.
Not something the organisation we're discussing today has given much consideration to.
Jim Johnson.
Awful. Yes, Aaron, good point there. I've brought that up a couple of times myself before, but just again to highlight, I don't think it's the whole reason for this, but at least part of the cause of the prescription was embarrassment. PAL Action very simply and easily made the way in there. They rode up to the plane on electric scooters and then fired the paint from adapted fire extinguishers, completely undetected. I do keep your thoughts and comments coming in the chat, people, or in the comment section even, if you're watching back on a replay. I do need a drink. Just a sip of tea. There we go. Yes, anybody watching who hasn't seen the latest video on the channel, please do check that out. It's exclusive content from the Defend Our Juries protest just a few days ago in Parliament Square, Westminster, London. But also, as I mentioned, in tandem, simultaneously, there were two other protests in Northern Ireland and in Scotland, in Edinburgh specifically, which is the one that we're going to focus on next. Thanks again, Moshe, for providing us with this as well. We're back. Here it is. So as I was saying, thanks again, Moshe, for providing us with a bit of footage, and we're going to go and check out one of the speeches that took place. But I do just quickly want to highlight the difference in atmosphere. You saw the police being very heavy-handed again in London. But more of a silent, sombre atmosphere up there in Edinburgh, in Scotland, as you can see with this footage. There were, of course, speeches, as you're going to see, but were there actually 0 arrests, Moshe? If you can let us know in the chat. That would be great. A very, I should say, contrasting response from the respective police forces there. So let's check out this speech again. Credit to Moshe for this vid.
The priorities of those in power are all wrong, are all upside down.
And what they're relying on is for us to pack our bags and to go home. But every single time they've come to attack this movement, the movement is only going stronger and only growing broader in scope and in public support. And every single time we take to the streets, we are sending a message to the government, but we're also sending a message to ourselves, that we look each other in the eye and we say, we are going to stay on the streets, we are going to keep organising, we are going to fight for the boycott of the Israeli apartheid state, we are going to fight for justice for the Palestinians, and we are going to make sure that in this country, the people who are on the demonstrations are remembered as heroes, while Keir Starmer and the rest of them are sent to the Hague. Because let's be under no illusions. If they're allowed to get away with what they're getting away with in Gaza, we are talking here about war crime after atrocity after war crime every single day. We are talking about torture in jails, thousands of innocent Palestinians taken and being imprisoned year upon year with no recourse. We are talking about a man-made starvation, a famine, while thousands of aid trucks line the borders, waiting to go in, not allowed to go in, because Israel and their partners in the West say no. And let's also be clear about one other thing, that yes, this is about individuals and there should be individual accountability for everyone who's played their part in arming, financing, providing political cover for the genocide in Gaza. But this is a system, and when you have man-made famine, when you have daily atrocities, when you have genocide, and the entirety of the world system can't stop it, that means we need an entirely new world system. One that's based on justice, one that's based on democracy, one that's based on peace, one that's based on protection for the environment, not for its annihilation. One, in other words, that's based on the values of this movement that has been so demonised. But we're going to stay the course, because we know that just as it may be the case that if the other side wins and gets away with the genocide in Gaza, if we win, we can make an entirely different kind of world. If we win, we're going to be able to say, not just to everyone who's marching today, but everyone who's marched throughout these years, who's still to join the movement, our neighbours, our friends, our family, to be able to look each other in the eye and say, we did everything we could, and we have done everything we can to bring that new world that we all want to see into being. Let's go forward and let's make sure that we continue to build on the biggest, the broadest, and the most radical basis we can. That's what we're trying to do here in the Stop the War Coalition alongside all of the other groups. Let's keep going, let's keep fighting, let's make sure there's justice, and let's make sure that there is a free Palestine and a free humanity with it.
Very good speech there. Thank you very much again, Moshi on Toast, for the footage. Roving reporter up in Edinburgh there. Big up Moshi in the chat. Yeah, a tale of two cities as far as police response is concerned. Just bring up the news feed for the aforementioned attack by Israel on Qatar, which was supposedly targeting Hamas leadership. We'll have it with the music though. The latest news is they missed. It's been one of those where Israel's immediately started to, we have destroyed this and we will do that, and then actually you missed the targets, all of them. So, oh shit. However, 6 people were killed, including a member of the Qatari security forces. And unfortunately, it's the same grade of reporting that we're used to by now, where Israel's concerned. I just want to highlight a few examples. So I was watching the live stream of the news earlier for a while. A few things jumped out, as well as the deafening silence in the absence of certain words such as illegal, which is something you'll always find missing in the reporting. But just also in the analysis, I want to pick out, I've got a timestamp here, let's just find this one. I'll be around here. Yeah, that's the one. I'll come on to this one in a moment. It's Jeremy Bowen. Israel's going full steam ahead on all fronts. Thanks, Graham, for the super chats, and another from Aaron Gray as well. Awesome. Thank you both. Yeah, that's amazing. Let's big up Graham and Aaron in the chat, please, people. Thanks again for helping to support the channel. So I heard Jeremy Bowen, in his analysis, describe it as an interesting move. Now, we're talking about an illegal attack on foreign diplomats, no less. Something that, again, they're not really highlighting as much as they should be. An illegal attack on foreign diplomats. But he's talking about it like he's discussing a half-time triple substitution in a football match, or something like that. Yeah, it's an interesting move. It's an interesting move. And in other parts of the live BBC broadcast earlier, I remember hearing words like bold and surprising. Well, just again, not the word illegal. So I guess the BBC don't really care too much for diplomatic immunity. They've thrown that out of the window. But they focus on discussion about tactics. Like lobotomized apologists. What do you think they're going to... Oh, right, yeah, so what do you think they're going to do? As if they're discussing the latest popular drama series or something, Don't know how many comparisons I can make. But that one there, the full steam ahead one, I did say I wanted to focus on this one, but just the general tone to it. So this attack is a move which many thought Israel wouldn't make. Qatar has tried to carve out a position of the Switzerland of the Middle East and last week blah 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 blah. So all he's saying, obviously, it's a massive two fingers to the talks, to the ceasefire talks that were going on. And this is from someone who's been there. He's witnessed a lot of the worst of this, and he knows what's happened to his fellow journalists. Which is, I guess, what frustrates me the most, is that they're somehow willing to brush over the more important points. Or just straight up not say things like illegal. And the hype for the channel continues in the chat. Thanks a lot for even more contributions. 5 gifted memberships from Doc Davies, and we've also got Andy Carter as well. Thank you very much for your respective contributions, people. Solidari-Tea. Hope you enjoy your perks. Yeah, you got a nice shot there. DJ Super Tiny, one of the recipients. I think they just left the chat, actually, I saw. And a nice shot by Andy Carter as well, with Mithril there, who I know has been following the channel for a long time and is a wonderful person. Yeah, so full steam ahead on all fronts. He uses to describe how they tried to murder ceasefire negotiators, and he sounds like he's doing a GCSE talk about the fucking Battle of the Somme or something. But yeah, obviously the ceasefire talks are now being deliberately pissed up against a wall for the umpteenth time by Israel, and they've gone to some extreme lengths there in order to do so. But yet again we're given another example of hypocrisy, because while the BBC might be chewing the pencils away trying to figure out tactics and next moves by Israel, it's just right there in front of you. Basically, the demand that they had, you know, to release, for Hamas to release all of the sausages all in one go, which was their primary demand, as well as, I believe, the dismantling of Hamas itself. And there are people who can agree to that. They are authorised to sign documents to that effect, whatever it might take to make it official. And what does Netanyahu do? Even when there's not just international pressure in the demonstrations and the marches and what the United Nations are saying, what other politicians in many countries around the world are saying, but sorry, I nearly lost my train of thought there. While there's all that going on, the pressure for him to get the hostages released being as high as it's ever been, he then goes and decides to try and murder the people who were able to facilitate that. If that's not obvious scuppering of ceasefire negotiations, because we know when this is over, there's the domestic charges, there's the ICJ, there's the ICC that he's going to have to deal with. He'll probably be forced out as Prime Minister, Netanyahu. And he's done it before. He's refused to accept terms, even though they were giving him everything he wanted. They were certainly giving him what he's asking for now, and that was even on the table as early as November 2023. Here we are nearly 2 years later. So what can you say about that? What actually can you say about that? Well, I particularly just want to highlight that is something that the Beeb is not pointing out. It's just so casual. They struck this, they hit that, or... Al-Hayya's son and a member of the Qatari security forces are among the 6 people confirmed to have been killed. I won't read the full White House statement. Apparently, more or less said it. This really doesn't help anyone. Okay, it's it's just one of those things. They're not seriously condemning them. I'd like to know your thoughts about that, so please do share them. So that is the latest confirmation. They missed. And earlier on this afternoon, it was wall to wall. Israel says they've killed X, Israel says they've killed Y, Israel says they've killed Z. Will the Beeb now go and publicly retract those? Oh, sorry. Earlier we were strongly implying that this had happened and that it was a news, even though it's just something that someone said. Andy Carson, you think it's time the United Nations General Assembly voted to override the Security Council by using the Uniting for Peace precedent, which was, I think it was in the 1950s. It wasn't too long after the formation. Yeah, because they certainly seem so powerless and impotent at the moment. We've heard a lot of statements from Antonio Guterres and many other rapporteurs on behalf of the United Nations and their humanitarian efforts as well. Unfortunately, words are just words. Where the humanitarian aid workers are concerned, it is of course important to get a deep insight into what's happening as they carry out their brave work right there on the scene. But where politics and wider powers are concerned, there's nothing happening. What is the point? Superpowers, and they call them superpowers. Not just that, but they're well funded, and we're told that they were put together in the first place to ensure that things like this couldn't happen. The world agreed what was acceptable and not acceptable within the bounds of warfare, within the bounds of annexation, within the bounds of territorial disputes, even if you want to put it that mildly. We're way beyond territorial disputes at this point. Obviously, it's full-on illegal occupation and annexation. Gaza City itself being infiltrated as I speak. Just going to update the live chat there. But as always, many people are speaking out about this and acting against this. Here in the UK, it's quietly swoops under the radar as well that a fourth Elbit factory has been forced to close because of non-violent direct action from protest groups in Central Europe. In Germany, the German contingent of PAL Action have also shut down a factory recently, and they've documented this pretty well in showing how they do that. So let's take a look at this, people. I'm not certain exactly where in Germany the factory is. There might be a few captions that come up during the video though that say exactly where, but that's all I know. Unfortunately, all I can say is that it's, you know, it's the largest country in Europe. Apart from Russia, of course.
Help! Lower one, lower!
The extinguisher and stuff. Well, they're really holding no quarter here. They're going for everything, aren't they? Look at this, people.
You have no home on our streets.
Looks like around 6 to 8 activists there. Have a bit of a sing-song, waiting for the authorities to arrive.
No, doesn't have a door. Fine. Push for it.
Free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Mandelson bis nach Gaza!
Mandelson bis nach Gaza!
Allah, Allah, Intifada!
Oh, Allah, Allah, Intifada!
Yeah, that's PAL Action Germany there, from their official Twitter page. I believe, just want to highlight that's not exclusive footage. I was not participating in that action, just to be particularly clear. Sorry, I don't have the exact location of the factory, but it was in Germany. I can see a few of you in the chat enjoying that one. Quite, you know, I'd be lying if I denied that that was somewhat satisfying. There used to be one not too far away from where the stream's coming to from this evening as well. There was shut down in Rochdale, which is in the northwest. And if you're really familiar with local geography, it's in the northeast of the northwest, if that makes any sense. So, well, Greater Manchester, as it's known. So they've been run out of town. Get out the small violins, people. Looks like the profits might take a tumble. Oh, what a shame. BDS, people, BDS, can you dig it?
Can you dig it?
For anyone who's not too familiar with Elbit, they essentially make weapons components that go into all sorts of things. Missiles, munitions. They contribute to the death showers that have rained on Palestine, not just for the last 2 years, but for decades now, of course.
Which makes you a murderer, don't it?
Time for another shout out to all the members on the channel. Thank you very much for all of your generous gifted memberships on tonight's stream as well. I haven't actually been adjusting the counter as we go, just going to quickly go back. We've had some great super chats as well, of course, thank you for those. I'm just trying to quickly tot up how many we've had in total. I just want to confirm my suspicions. I think we had 11. Scrolling. It's been active chat this evening, but that's a good thing. Yeah, so 11. That's great. 113. Thanks again, people. Really do appreciate that. I'm just getting towards the end of the stream now. It's getting a little late in the evening, but stick around. If you're a bit of a night owl, could be streaming into another socialist friend of the channel. Just double or triple or quadruple check that you have given a thumbs up on the stream before we leave as well. Final reminder, please do share some recent content around your social media as well. You can follow us there at MyLeftRUK on Blue Sky, Twitter and Mastodon. Always Twitter, never X. Just scanning now. Final props as well to Moshi on Toast, and another reminder, people, if you find yourself at any kind of demonstration recently, this channel is certainly willing to help platform fellow socialists. And we're going to be going over to this space. So across to the States for this space. I'll join you there for a little bit. Let's make sure that we hit thumbs up when we get over there, as well as give this channel a shout out in the chat. Okay, that's all set up. So I'll be back with you for more brews at 10s later in the week. Of course, tomorrow for another PMQs. Back into the swing of things after the summer break finished the other week. So please do join me then, whatever you do with the rest of your evening or whenever you're listening back to the stream. Take care, everyone. My Lefty, I'll be seeing you soon. Free Palestine and power to the people.
Socialists